So today I prepared something that might not seem super important, but I think that it is super um, underrated in terms of learning physics or learning any subject, and that is taking notes. How to take good notes. I feel like a lot of times students just copy word for word whatever they see, or they don't write enough. So kind of have a spectrum on too much, not enough. So I just want to look at some elements of good note taking today. So let's just think about first for 1 minute. Um, what makes good notes? And one thing I think is really important is that they're not copied verbatim. They are not incomplete sentences. That you're not spending too much time writing full complete sentences. You're writing briefly, brief statements that help you remember, and they are organized. We're going to look at some methods of organization, and this is one that I'm extremely passionate about, is that they use color. That you are not writing all in like blue ink or black ink or pencil, that you're kind of varying the way that you write, the color you write. So let's look at some examples. I'm going to have 4 examples of notes that I took from the book Ekina College Physics, and let's take a look at what I came up with. So this is my personal favorite I did first, and that is a graphic organizer. Now, this isn't the only type of graphic organizer. This is a word web. You can also do a Venn diagram, tree map, whatever kind of graphic organizer that works for the content you have. But if you notice, I used a few different colors for different ideas. So like over here, these ideas are related, so they're one color. These ideas are related, so they're similar color. I wrote kind of bullet points, and it's very kind of neat and organized. I feel like you would get a little messy if you had like things coming out from everywhere. So you want to try to go like with a nice kind of, it fills up the whole page, but it's fairly like linear, that these ideas relate, so I have straight lines here. I really like this method when we're sharing ideas in class, and like maybe different students are giving different ideas. I like it if I'm reading something on one topic and I want to kind of put all my ideas for one topic there. So this is my personal favorite, and if you've never taken notes using a graphic organizer or using like a word web, strongly recommend it. Okay, now the second one I have is a little more traditional. It is a key ideas outline. So I'm sure we're all familiar with outlines where you have like your topic, and then it goes like A, whatever, and then maybe like Roman numeral. I don't like being quite so formal as that. You can see that, I use colors, different colors for my titles, my kind of subtitles, and then my sub-subs. I think that the different colors makes it easier to go back and maybe read. Like if I just want to get the gist of what this was about, if I'm going back and reviewing my notes, I know I can just read the green parts and just maybe remember the gist. Or if I want more detail, I need to read the pink parts too. Now, if you actually looked at the textbook for this, one thing you'll notice is that this is not like, the title is motion diagrams and velocity change arrows and stuff, but the content of that is in my own words. And I think that is really important, that I didn't just kind of pick out phrases or didn't just pick out sentences to put in there. I kind of read a paragraph and maybe summarized it in a sentence. Like maybe this is a sentence that I summarized, or a paragraph that I summarized into one sentence. So I also included drawings. Figures, examples, if I wanted to put an example problem. So this is a little more kind of straightforward than the previous one, but I think what makes it better than just like straight copying notes from the book is that I used different colors. I included the figures and I wrote things in my own words. Okay, let's look at another example. And this is sketch notes or box notes. Now, sometimes if you look up sketch notes like on Google, you might get overwhelmed. I get overwhelmed because you see these like big, beautiful notes, and that's a little too intense for me. I don't have the time to devote to like having these like beautiful illustrations. But I wanted to make it like a little more visually appealing, and I separated it into like adding, subtracting, and multiplying vectors. So if I want to go back and review my notes and I don't remember how to subtract vectors, I can look just at this box. Now, if you're a little more creative, you can add fancier borders. Maybe you want to include more drawings kind of in the margins. I have my little stick figure here. Maybe you want to spruce it up a little. But once again, doesn't have to be super intense, just kind of being a little more visual, though. I do this a lot if I am watching a video and taking notes on the video. I tend to kind of make boxes and decorate little borders and try to do some like little fancy titles just to make me want to go back and look at it. So once again, you can see color. This is kind of, if you are into doodling, you can put some doodles in there and it kind of goes with it. I like having the boxes and borders. No, don't go too over the top. Don't spend all of your time, drawing elaborate drawings, but a nice visual to help you go back and look at your notes. So we're going to look at one more that you're probably familiar with. The last one we're going to look at is Cornell Notes. And a lot of people don't like Cornell Notes because they were forced to do them. I had a class in high school that all of our notes had to be Cornell, and I didn't like them. But when I'm just going back and making this, I actually really liked this method. Now, Cornell tends to have 4 main components. One is the title, which I just put right there. 2 is the body, which is the body of my notes, and I kind of did this as a mix between like my graphic organizer and an outline. The nice thing is that the body can be whatever you want. You can kind of mix different styles with your body. But 3, I call it the sidebar. And there's a couple of different things you can do with the sidebar. I like putting important like vocabulary words and then questions I have after taking notes or after reading or whatever I'm doing. So these would be questions I would want to remind myself to ask the teacher or to look up after while I'm taking notes. So it's a great way to, as you're going, remember that you have a question and then try to figure out the answer or wait till appropriate time to figure out the answer. Obviously, I made up some questions to put on there. And then 4, this is usually something you would do after like a lesson in class or something, would be a summary. And I just summarized in 3 sentences the notes that I took. So it's a nice little closing way to kind of look back at your notes. So I hope that you'll look at these examples and get some ideas on how you can improve your notes. Or the point of notes, for one, writing helps you remember it, but 2, a lot of students don't go back and look at their notes because maybe their notes were unorganized or messy, or they didn't have time to like write everything word for word. And I think that having these different organization patterns really help you when you're going back and looking at your notes, that they make more sense. So try to be a little creative with your notes. Try to incorporate color, incorporate organization and structure into your notes, and having notes that are valuable to you. Remember, your notes are for you. So hopefully you have some ideas. Thanks for watching.